What's going on there, guys? Good afternoon. It's the Earthmaster here on the live stream with an update video here on this Wednesday, September 21st, 2022 date. It is about 11:47 a.m. California time. Latest quake on the Earthquake 3D globe shows a 2.6 down here in the Indonesia area. It's the latest quake on the map here. We have seen a little bit of increase in activity around the southwestern portion here of the Philippine plate, south of the Philippines itself there. Let's go ahead and check out some of the latest activity here from the USGS. Latest 24 hours on the map listed. Going to start off here with Southern California. I've been watching a little bit of migration and swarming happening down here along the southern branch, just off the southern section here of the San Andreas Fault. Mainly overnight and this morning time frame, the swarming activity has been confined to the Brawley seismic zone. That's a pretty much an extensional fault system here off the San Andreas Fault, which runs into the Imperial Fault. A lot of times we do see some swarms kicking up here in this area, and overnight definitely ramped up a little bit, about 30 earthquakes or so in that region. But you put that all together with the swarming activity we've seen south here, south of the current swarm, some minor earthquake activity up here, much closer to the southern branch of the San Andreas Fault. There was actually a 3.5 and a 2.7 in that little cluster. Had some more clusters up north here a couple days ago, as well as further up north. But a little linear section here across the San Andreas Fault, the southern segment here, was something to watch. It was getting pretty crazy for a little bit as far as the migration goes. I'm still going to keep the earthquake watch up for the day, considering we've seen that swarm of migration overnight within this area. As far as specifically up here along the southern branch of the San Andreas, it looks pretty clear. Far as any earthquake activity occurring on it right now, we do see some activity along the San Jacinto fault zone, and this is very typical here to see movement up and down this fault system and these different branches of the San Jacinto fault zone. Also, the Elsinore fault system is very typical for microquake activity, but only today only looks like there's a 1.6 just off of it near Corona, the Home Gardens area, and a little one down south. Moving up north here, looks like we got one earthquake near Porterville, a 0.9. And a couple other smaller quakes here around Ridgecrest and just north of there. Looks like that's into the Coso volcanic range. A couple small microquakes there. Further up north, Long Valley supervolcano, a little bit minimal today as far as earthquake activity goes. Only a couple, so very small earthquakes there in that region, 0.1, and a couple other smaller quakes there. What do we got here along the coastline? This is another good indicator of what's going on as far as the plate dynamics go. A little 2.0 earthquake just right on the coast here off of the San Simeon fault system. And a little activity here near the San Luis Obispo area, looks like. Let's see which fault system that is. Looks like the Oceanic Fault Zone. A couple different segments down here of some faults. A lot of crunching going on down there, so to speak, of the land. A couple small microquakes today. Alrighty, see what else we got up north here. Northern California, a little spotty movement throughout the area. Last night we did see some movement into the Cascadia subduction zone here, down dip. One of those earthquakes, a 3.7. Looks like a little bit inland off of the main plate boundary. Since then, we've seen one more earthquake, a 1.8, near the Ferndale area at 17 kilometers deep. Goodness. Change of the weather kind of got my voice a little messed up here. Let's see what else we got. Pacific Northwest, these guys are not reporting anything at all. But that's probably, I don't know what's going on. They just don't report it at times, but we know there is some earthquake activity happening there. Goodness, we've had rain and cooler temperatures, and my voice goes to heck. It's not good. That's all right. It's going to start warming up here again, unfortunately. Yellowstone National Park, 32 earthquakes within the last 24 hours. Mostly microquakes. Let's see what we got for the largest magnitude. Looks like a 2.5 kicking up there. Earlier this morning time frame. This is part of an ongoing sequence that's been going on here for about 4 weeks now. The magnitude map here, the total tally over the last 30 days, includes our current swarm and the migrational swarms that we noted here a couple weeks ago, is over 650 earthquakes in this area of Yellowstone. That's a pretty good number. Swarms do come and go in this region, and they do migrate on occasion, but it's been pretty active for sure as far as the earthquake activity goes at Yellowstone. And those earthquakes right there, if we were to pull up 30 days 2.5 and above, we got about 14 of them. All those others, the 350, are mostly microquakes. The largest one so far has been the 3.9 that kicked up here a couple days ago within that swarming area. Let's check out the Yellowstone overview here real quick. Bring up the latest map here, and it's still continuing. This here is the latest info, 9:21 UTC time of close to the past 1830. It's been swarming overnight and still this morning time frame, getting in on a couple twos as well. Some of these larger signatures on the map indicating some larger magnitudes, but nothing spectacular. I don't see any threes listed here on the map. If we did see a 3 or anything above, it would definitely be showing up across the board here, across all of these seismograph stations. But for now, microquake activity swarming continues around the northwest corner of the caldera, situated, looks like right around the Holmes Hill area as far as the epicenters go. All right, backing out of here, Texas got a little activity overnight as well around Pecos, Guadalupe Peak, south of the border here of the New Mexico-Texas border. Mostly 2s kicking up there overnight and this morning time frame. Not a whole lot going on in Oklahoma. Some activity, it looks like, overnight and late last night, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Late last night and early afternoon time frame yesterday. 1.7 and a 1.1 in the New Madrid seismic zone. This earthquake here was from last night as well, I believe. Yep. 9:21, a UTC time of 02. That's going to be late afternoon, early evening yesterday. As far as aftershock activity goes down here in Mexico, we got 4.9 and some more. EMSC and the Earthquake 3D Globe showing some more activity there. And aftershocks can continue for quite a few weeks in that region, so expect that to continue. South America has dropped off as far as activity goes, only a 4.3 from yesterday. The Alaska region, before we go into Hawaii, has been seeing a little activity up here in the Gulf. We did see one earthquake last night, late afternoon, early evening, on this shear zone, the Gulf of Alaska shear zone, little shear fault that they have listed here, and some further movement up north into the North American plate. So it's been somewhat active here. The Aleutian Trench pretty quiet though, not a whole lot going on. Out here around the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench, we've seen some activity yesterday, pretty not super deep, 75 kilometers into the trench, and one overnight. It looks like a 4.3, a little bit further down in there into the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench at 124 kilometers deep. Not a whole lot going on yet along the Mariana Trench or the Japan Trench. Most of the activity has been confined here to the south, towards the south of the Philippine Plate, where we've seen a couple 4s, and we did see a 5.7 kick up here. This is that area that did see the 7-pointer here a couple days ago. That aftershock activity is expected for some time. There's a 5.7 kind of in the mix here. In between these two larger quakes, there was 6.1 there earlier this month, and then the 7.6 a few days ago. Actually, more than a few days ago now. Has already been 10 days, 11 days? Holy smokes. Time is flying by. So yeah, aftershock activity definitely warranted here for extended amount of time. By the way, this 7.6 tied for the largest earthquake of the year so far. I don't know if we'll see an 8-pointer. 8-pointers come and go. Last year we had what? I thought we had 3 8-pointers last year. Can't remember. I had to pull up the tally. No, we had one up in Alaska, one down in the South Sandwich Trench, and the other one, I can't remember exactly where. I think it was around the Kermadec Trench here, if I remember right. All right, let's see what else we got here. Not a whole lot going on along the Indian Ocean. It looks like one earthquake down here in the divergent boundary of 4.9. Up here north. Let's see here. We got some activity in Iran kicking up this morning. 5.1 at 29 kilometers. A little 4.6 over here around China as well. Haven't really seen a huge amount of activity here yet. A lot of times we'll see that arrow, so to speak, the pressure transfer arrow point in this direction up around these plate boundaries. And of course you got a lot of squeezing coming up here as well in that direction up against the Himalayas and up against the Middle East. So we might want to watch this area for possibly larger scale activity. It's been a little quiet as far as that large movement goes recently. Up here in the northern mid-Atlantic ridge, it looks like a 4.5 and a 4.8 coming in overnight time frame. The Big Island last night, let's go ahead and start here again. 2.5 and above. Let's go down to the all magnitudes here real quick. Kilauea Volcano was cranking up earthquakes last night. That's for sure. When I went to bed, it was definitely popping up. 88 earthquakes or so confined to the Kilauea crater. Now the USGS did put out a notification system here. Let me see if they've put out a more recent one. They put one out last night. HVO daily update. Yes, so this one here, we'll check this one out. On Kilauea Volcano, there on the Big Island, the summit eruption of Kilauea Volcano within the crater continued over the past 24 hours. Extensive breakouts have occurred along the western and northern parts of the crater floor within this time. These breakouts coincide with a drop in the crater floor and the active part of the lava lake. All activity remains confined to the crater floor with no significant changes in areas outside the summit. So that's kind of what we're seeing. Very shallow earthquakes here last night, popping off like crazy. So according to these folks here, these are just breakouts with a drop in the crater floor and the active part of the lake creating that earthquake movement, which is a lot. There's been a lot of gallons of lava that has been built up in the lake. 29.2 billion gallons of lava has been effused since the beginning of this eruption back on September 29th, 2021. That's a lot, folks. Summit tilt meters recorded a large increase in inflationary tilt of approximately 12 microrads. Is that right? Not for certain on that these terms here. From 3 to 4 p.m., which has remained flat since. This was in association with a summit seismic swarm of more than 80 earthquakes. This again occurring late last night. Most earthquakes in the swarm occurred approximately 1 mile beneath the. I'm gonna let Missy Mimi's pronounce that one when she comes back. The largest recorded earthquake was a magnitude 2.9. Volcanic tremor remains above background levels. Inflationary tilt. All right, well, either way, a little bit of adjustment there going on at the volcano on the Big Island. I believe all other ones are as they have been, including Mauna Loa, Tau Volcano. We haven't checked that out in the past couple days. Let's see what we got. Swarming has continued, it looks like. Tau Island, the Manua Islands. No felt earthquakes have been reported. Looks like the The swarm, it looks like the earthquake swarm continues. Let's go ahead and check that out and see let's see what we got here. Stand by for a second. There we go. All right, there's Kilauea up here, Tau Island. Click on this map and go see what's going on here. These little triangles there on the map are seismic stations that they've installed, broadband stations. And to be honest, I don't even see the earthquake activity anymore. We've been watching it drop off. So let's check this other station. I might have to zoom in a little bit here and see if we can find it underneath this area. There's a GPS station and well, we got that right on top of this one. This one here too looks pretty minimal as far as earthquake activity goes, folks. Remember, we've been monitoring this here over the past month, and we're used to seeing at least 30 or 40 earthquakes listed here on the map. And right now, man, maybe one, maybe two little bitty ones. Those are super tiny. So that earthquake swarm is pretty much completely died off in my eyes. But we'll continue to watch it for sure. Not for sure what happened down there. But it appears as things are kind of calming down right now. All right, let's see what else. What else do we have, folks? Any other unusual activity going on? There's Southern California. See, I'm still going to keep that earthquake watch up for the day, folks, just because of all the heightened activity that we've been noting over the past couple days there across the park. Let's check out solar weather here real quick and see what we got. G1 class storm still expected, it looks like, on the 23rd time frame. Detailed forecast, let's see, it looks like between 0 and 600 on the 23rd. So that's going to put it around the late afternoon time frame. Not for sure if that's going to be favorable for conditions up at the north, but this is all subject to change here in terms of the geomagnetic forecast. Let's check out the solar flare activity. Looks like overnight we had a little peak here into the 1 category. It looks like nothing big, but a little bit of solar flaring. Let's see exactly where these are coming from. I wouldn't doubt it, though, looking at this map here. It's from these newly named sunspots that are on the southeastern limb here, sparking a little bit. Notice the brightness in this channel of this image here. Let's see if we can't get a little bit better view here of the magnetic field. It's a big one. It's a pretty big sunspot. Then again, we've seen these big sunspots with pretty stable magnetic fields just kind of float along and not provide us with anything, but kind of hard to see a little bit over here what's brewing, but that's something to keep an eye on for sure as this rotates into a more favorable position for viewing. We'll definitely keep an eye on that. Either way, it looks pretty bright over there. Here's another little bit better image. I know some features there popping off that sunspot. Looks like this thing is definitely in a rapid development stage. So these guys have named it 3105 and 3106. So it looks like maybe 2 different sunspots here. Giant, to me it looks like one giant one, but they got 3105, 3106 listed here. Looks like a beta class field currently. Same for that one. Overall flare threat, they still have listed up here 99% chance of a C flare, 30% chance for an M flare. These have been like that for a couple days, so I'm not for sure if they've adjusted that or not. I don't think we have that much of a chance for an X flare. Just observing some of these magnetic fields. 60% chance from the bad boy, this big one over here on the southeastern limb. M flare at 10% and 1% or less for X flare. But either way, could get active here in the coming days as this rotates into view. No major coronal holes that are facing us. We did have this one, which is now directed away from us. That's going to be the one that will be providing us with some possible amplifications of auroras and the geomagnetic unrest here on the 23rd time frame. Remember, that's going to be around late afternoon unless that changes. Aside from that, everything looks pretty stable here across the current solar wind data. Current conditions look pretty minor. Everything's stable on the BT/BZ zone. Density down there, speed reaching looks like below the 450 range. All right, folks, have a good day. Stay safe out there and make sure you guys be prepared. Again, a little look at the earthquake 3D globe here. Let's see what we got as far as aftershock activity there on the EMSC model. These guys just showing a 4.0. I'm sure there's some smaller ones in there as well, just not being reported. But a big crunch of earthquakes here around the Philippines today, south of there, throughout the Indonesia area. Definitely want to keep an eye on that. But I'm not turning my eye, or I'm not going to close my eyes to the West Coast, because that's definitely something to watch considering all that movement recently down there. All right, guys, have a good day. Stay safe out there, and we will chat you guys a little bit later tonight with a complete update. Peace out, folks. Oh, we got a little earthquake right there in Petrolia kicking up. See a little spike right there? Looks like a 1.2 coming into the earthquake 3D globe and also the Petrolia station. All right, take care, guys.